Okay, Colin Milner, good morning and welcome to Tuesdays with Mike. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Mike. Thanks for having me. I completely appreciate that Tuesday must be with Mike.
I'm glad to have you here on Tuesday. We're probably going to spend another Tuesday together in about 11 months from now in Orlando, Florida. Almost exactly 11 months from now, we'll be at the next ICAA event, which, if I recall correctly, is in Orlando. Is that right?
It is. It's in Orlando, November 17th to the 19th, and it is a must attend event because it is going to be our celebration of 25 years for the ICAA. I'm pinching myself. I was a young man when I started all of this.
I'll still consider you a young man and very vibrant at that. And as you know, I kind of wanted to start off today's discussion talking a little bit about your pathway. I mean, it is rare, not completely unheard of, for someone to be thinking about contributing to the aging and longevity field when they don't define themselves yet as a person of older age. But I'll set those assumptions aside. I know a little bit about your background, and I'll just invite you to tell us a little bit about your pathway that brought you and Julie to this point.
Well, ever since I first picked up a bull worker, for those who are of a certain age, you may remember that. And in the back of Muscle and Fitness was the picture of the guy getting sand kicked upon him and all of this. So I picked up a bull worker, started working out, joined a fitness club, and as they say, the rest is history. Fell in love with it, fell in love with the smell, the odor, the sound of the clanking weights. The people, most of my friends are still from that industry. I see them every 2 weeks, a group of six of us who grew up in the industry. And, but that was all driven by how do I help myself perform better as an athlete. And it's kind of funny when you think about athletics and then you think about the aging process. Really, both of them have a very similar thing in common, and that is performance.
Yeah.
We need to perform for daily life as we need to perform for the sport that we are passionate about. So
Yeah.
that really was the start down the road to, should I say, a career, 42 years in, the fitness and wellness and health industry, which took a few curves. I started a fitness business publication in Canada for 5 years, was a VP of sales and marketing for Kaiser Fitness Equipment for 9 years, and was the CEO or president for Idea Health and Fitness for about almost a year. And it was at that stage that I went, enough. I need to do my own thing. When I was with Kaiser, I saw the great potential that a human has if acted upon. And it got really frustrating not seeing it being acted upon. And I waited for somebody else to do what I'm doing today, but no one came to the forefront. So at the age of 40, I resigned my post at Idea, and on the drive back to Vancouver, decided what I was going to do. Got my graphic artist to put together the first design and came up with the name. And as they say, 25 years later, the rest is history.
Wow. That's amazing. And you and I have talked about the iteration of the name of your company, ICAA. We've talked about it before, but that doesn't give our listeners the opportunity to understand this. You put some very accurate and intelligent thought into the International Council on Active Aging, which we know, and hopefully our listeners are already familiar with what that stands for. But anything else you want to elaborate on that point or story?
Well, really, when we came up with it, the first thing that we said, and I say we, and that is myself and my wife, Julie Milner, we sat down in San Francisco at a bar, like many people do, and having a drink of water, of course. And we were talking about what's the name. First thing it had to be international. It couldn't be just one country.
Mhm.
It had to be an association or a council or something like that. We came up with the word council. We preferred that versus just association. And then what was it about? And it was about helping people to be engaged in life. Engaged in life means being active. So it
Mhm.
was about active and it was about active aging. A lot of times people want to pigeonhole us that it's all about just physical activity, and it's not. It's
Mhm.
about being engaged in all areas of life. And the funny part was that, when we first started, if you looked up Google, the term active aging only had a few 100,000 searches, if as much. Now it's hundreds of millions.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll amass as many in a day as you would have seen in a year when you would have started this. Yeah.
Pretty close.
That's yeah. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the space. Again, the sector, if you will, of active aging and the iterations of terms it's gone under, the players that have come and gone with that. And then also, if you will, when you talk about the space, be thinking a little bit about, you know, even your own conceptions that became misconceptions, if you will, as you enlighten us therein.
Sure. When we launched, our goal was to unite all of these different industries that were not even looking at the older population or looking at the older population through a very distorted lens. As an example, the fitness industry. When we launched, older adults were a special population.
Mhm.
That was the term that was used. And, many fitness clubs stayed away from working with them because they were afraid of chronic diseases and that they may,
Mhm.
uh, f- you know, kill the person that they're working with by overexercising them.
Mhm. Mhm.
First misperception.
Wow.
So we looked at all of the different industries: therapy, fitness, YMCA, senior living, senior services, resorts, government. As it turns out, our largest segment is senior living. And there's a very specific reason for that. You did not have to convince the senior living industry that there was an older population that needed assistance and with improving their quality of life. With the fitness clubs back then, just mentioning older adults, I was run out of a couple of them where some of the bigger chains said, "I will never gray my clubs." Today,
Wow.
many of them that said that have silver sneakers as their solution. So things have changed a lot, but there is still a long, long way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. You know what's interesting there? You actually hinted at, and I want to make certain that I'm not putting words in your mouth, that society was inducing frailty because society appeared to expect that intense exercise was not for persons of a certain age. And because of that expectation and negative branding, nocebo, if you will, this won't work for you, society was actually contributing to the pace at which individuals would be aging with less than the full physical resources than we should have all been capable of.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, if you think about it, And I use the image of an older group of people working out bubble wrapped. That's
Mm,
really what we were doing, is that we were bubble wrapping older adults because we were afraid that we would break them, that they were frail.
mhm,
Where the opposite, as we know today, is the reality. Dr. Stephen Blair, who's no longer with us, but was the chief scientific editor for the U.S. Surgeon General's report on physical activity and aging, actually, I think, said it best, and that is uh, exercising for older adults doesn't kill anyone. It makes them stronger and helps them to
mhm.
live better longer.
Yeah,
If someone is at risk, they're going to be at risk of doing things, whether they're young or old.
yeah.
All we have to do is to make sure that we moderate or manage the way we deliver the programs and the dose so that people get stronger.
Wow. We might even be able to encapsulate Dr. Blair's comments into nearly a palindromic sentence of people die faster from not exercising than people that die fast from exercising. Uh,
Oh, undoubtedly, if you really think about it,
yeah,
Dr. Kenneth Cooper, the grandfather of aerobics,
yeah,
he was at our conference a few years ago, and I think he
yeah.
said it best, and that is he has this program called Cooper Size or Cooperize. And if people follow his program, uh, they don't have a long, drawn out end of life. They basically get healthier, live better, longer, and then die a much shorter period of time.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want. In an ideal world, you just drop dead. You don't have the
Yeah.
12.4 years that we have of ill health. And the reality is, in the US, or the US, is actually at the bottom of the table globally out of 183 countries. Now, think about
Yeah.
this for a second.
Yeah.
Let's say, depending on whose numbers you look at, your life expectancy is 79, 80 years of age.
Mhm.
And the average American now, according to new research that came out from Pew, says that they want to live on average to 91.
Mhm.
Well, if we're not improving our health span, we are adding an additional 11 years of ill health. Who the heck wants to add an additional 11 years of ill health?
Right. Right. You're burdening the individual with disability, their family as care providers that are losing potentially their own health, their own ability to contribute to the economy, also healthcare dollars being spent. People want to live long and die fast in an idealized world, and there's more controllability to that than we used to think. And I love the fact that you brought up the statistic. Please help me stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I believe the United States has actually an increasing differential between lifespan and health span, where we're beginning to actually grow our lifespans faster than we're growing our health spans. So the number of years of disability, even though we might think we're a more sophisticated scientific world, we're actually losing in that regard.
They absolutely. And the problem with that is that we don't seem to be doing a lot about it.
Yeah.
Uh, I always say you have to earn your health span. It's
Mm,
not given to you. It's not an automatic. We've been promised by the media and by science that we can live these additional 30 years of life. The problem is those 30 years of life may not be the type of life that you actually want to live unless you earn your health span. And you have to
mm,
start early in your life to build up those reserves. And I'm afraid that the young population right now may not have those reserves to pull on later in
mm.
life as they get older.
Yeah. You're right. We need to do something about it, and you're doing something about it. And I want to get to that question next with a very small segue. In your 25 years in this space, do you feel that you could identify not only some of the misconceptions, you've done a great job of that, bubble wrap. This isn't for you. I don't want to gray my gym. You did a great job talking us through those matters. Do you feel that you could identify perhaps some things that have been, let's say, preying on our more recent enamored society with longevity, lifespan, health span that maybe need a second look and a raised eyebrow, even if you're not going to call them out as scams? What are things that you're concerned about that persons that want to actively age might be leaning into and might not find as much youth or fountain of youth in that well as what would be advertised?
Well, so my mother always told me if it sounded too good to be true, it is. And always to lean to the middle because the
Yeah.
extremes at either side are probably just that they're extreme. And so when I look at that, I look at things like the anti-aging industry. I
Mm-hmm.
look at the longevity industry right now, and there's some great science behind the longevity end of things. There's also some pseudoscience, and then there's also a lot of just BS.
Mm-hmm.
The old snake oil salesperson.
Right.
Same with the anti-aging industry. There's no cream that is going to turn back your clock 10 years so that you are going to look instead of 70, you're going to look 60. You may be able to mask it for a
Mm-hmm.
night out, having a good time, but that's about it. The reality is you are your age because you are your age.
Yeah.
What you want to do is to improve your vitality, improve your ability to function, improve your biological age if you can, and those kinds of things. That there is some science
Mm-hmm.
behind that.
Yeah.
There is no question that if you move, you improve, and
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, well, the end may not be near, but it gets nearer. And it doesn't appeal to you the way it actually works out to be. So I think the longevity movement right now is very, very robust in the media. It is out there. You have longevity clinics, you have longevity science, you have longevity cities, you have longevity programs, you have longevity economies, all of this. So the
Mm-hmm.
question really is, what is longevity? And is it really about living longer? Today, a lot of people are defining longevity as living longer and better.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the actual word, it is about living longer. The better is being added in.
Yeah.
Uh, and, terms morph over time.
Yeah.
So, will that become the correct terminology? Possibly. But some of the clinics that you go to, I would be very cautious with some of the claims that are made.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are many of them that offer you the basics: good physical activity,
Mm-hmm.
assessments to truly personalize your programs and hopefully gain better outcomes. Some of the assessments that are being offered are probably not really proven the way they could be. DNA as an example. How far can we take it to truly understand what our performance is, and can we do that across the board to the whole population,
Yeah.
given the diversity of the population? So I would look at those two as key ones that people are trying to drive. The other is, the every day we see in TV medications. There used to be a time that there was one focus in medications, and then there was diabetes, and then there was pre-diabetes, and then
Right.
you needed a second pill before that or after that pre-diabetes pill to make sure that your whole program stayed in line. Well, you wonder at what point is that reaching for dollars versus science?
Yeah, no, that's so good. And that's great perspective that you can uniquely bring to this space with your years in it. And, you talked in that commentary there about, what is, if you're not moving, maybe your finish line's going to come along a little bit sooner. And it caused me to hearken just a little bit about our capacity to move our own finish line that when we run a race and you were a prolific runner, the faster you move, the closer your finish line becomes. And here we've got the reverse. Potentially, the faster you move, and as you said 20 minutes ago, it's not all just about exercise and movement, but let's say the faster you move and attempt to optimize yourself in all of the other main players, you may be moving your own finish line further away in a health span finish line or lifespan finish line. It's most important for the individual racer to determine what's important for them. But as far as society goes, we may be morphing toward health span as our finish line anyway.
Well, and so it should be. I mean, think about it. There are all these clocks out there now that will tell you how long you're going to live and when you're going to die and all of this. And the goal is to try and inspire people to change their life, make the changes to your food, to your sleep, to your exercise, to all these different things. And by doing so, you will see actually how your health span and your lifespan are improving. Whether they all work or not is questionable. But on the other hand, if you think about it, it really is that simple. If you eat better, you move more, you don't smoke, you drink very little, if any, which is a hard thing for a lot of people. You manage your weight, you manage your sleep, you manage your stress, all the things that we know. It's not really complicated. The biggest challenge is we're not doing it.
Yeah, yeah. And now let's talk about putting it to action because this is where your company and those individuals that attend your conferences, are part of your think tanks, etc. You're talking about actually doing something. And recently, you've come out with the pathway to longevity. And I want to give you some space and time to throw some elbows and take some deep breaths and really help us to understand what's novel, what's differentiated about this, why is it timely now, and what does it mean? What is the pathway to longevity, Colin?
So the pathway to longevity really is all the things we just spoke about, wellness, improving your health span, looking at what your longevity outcomes are, improved health, as an example. Imagine if we could reduce chronic disease by 2040 by 60%. Well, we
Mm,
can if we actually use current interventions. Again, the problem is we're not. The
mhm,
economic ripple effect that it would have, the ripple effect that it would have on the nation, on functional ability, on care, on transportation, on senior housing, on education. The list goes on and on and on. I look at healthy aging as this. You drop healthy aging as a stone into the ocean and imagine the ripple effect that it has all across society if I'm able to now not have to use all of the transportation that is available to those who are maybe in wheelchairs, walkers, and so forth.
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
going back to school. I'm contributing more in the economy. I'm working. The list goes on and on. The opposite is also true. So I think that as we look at the longevity movement, and this is what this report brought to the forefront. It's not about longevity. It's all about health span.
Yeah.
And the term longevity is the end result of improved health span.
Mhm, mhm. That's lovely. It's eloquent, it's beautifully stated, and you give us a perspective of the multiple different directions and pathways that not only depend on health span, but also that are affected by it. So you talk about return on investment, if you will, an aging workforce that stays contributing viable longer. You talked about impact on transportation. Now, one thing that I'm wondering, I know it must be in there that you have on the forefront of your mind is also impact on the healthcare marketplace. Because if we're truly doing what we can, you said by 2040, reducing, 60% of comorbid diseases. Hey, that all sounds like great news, unless you're in the business of, you know what I'm going to
Disease
say,
management.
unless you're in the business of, I need sick people that need me, right?
Exactly. It's like it's
There,
like it's like the tobacco industry.
that
So
that is true. You don't want to get too far suggestive in conspiracy theories, but my goodness, there is a there's a blade to be dealt with, a double-edged sword there of too much wellness and too little healthcare. Uh, and there are individuals that would profit, or if not profiteer, from more healthcare, less wellness. Wow.
yeah, and currently you're correct. Many of the communities that belong to senior living communities, their model is based around taking care of people.
Yeah.
However, their incoming resident and their current resident know, because the cat's out of the bag, that they can live better for a longer period of time, and they don't want to be denied that.
Mhm.
So you can either continue doing what you're doing or you change to meet consumer demand. And when investments in wellness have a 3-to-1 return based on a new report by McKinsey, for every dollar that you spend on healthy aging interventions, there can be a $3 ROI in healthcare and economic benefits. That starts to catch the attention of people when it comes to, can I reduce the cost of care? Do I
Mhm.
change my model to start offering things that engage people in different ways? I'm still making my dollars, but I'm doing it differently.
Mhm.
If you think about it, when the fax machine first came out,
Yeah.
and we saw a fax come through the machine, and you heard and it moved very slowly compared to now, and to email. All of that changed post.
Yeah.
You can say that I'm not going to change, but now you have to change because the
Yeah.
world around you is changing. And I think when you have told the population of close to 8 billion people that if you want to live better longer, you can, and you are still getting in the way of them doing that,
Yeah.
you have a problem. Now,
You
don't
good.
get
Yeah.
me wrong, we're always going to need the hospitals,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be a need for care because of disease that cannot be managed and so forth. But can we minimize the entry point or minimize the number of people that move in for care versus aspiration? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. You did say 60% reduction, not 100% reduction. And we do have still an increasing number of individuals turning 65 per day in nearly every country of the world, as compared to the number that were turning 65 per day 5 years ago is just about as shared across the world. You know what this brings me to? I want to know from you, even without naming names, what are the best communities in the United States and Canada and other countries that you see and travel to? What are the best communities? And I'm talking about senior living communities, but I'm also talking about communities as in township, city, and etc. What do you think on both of those definitions of the term communities? What are the best ones doing?
Oh, I think you got to look at Singapore as an example.
Okay.
Singapore is really focused on how to ensure that their residents live a better, healthier lifestyle and
Hmm.
longer. So uh, you see them trying to build a healthy cities programs. You look at Abu Dhabi as an example. One of the things that they have done is that they have actually taken the DNA of all of their residents so that they can try and personalize programs as science advances. Uh, think about that. If we were to have every single person in America and we had their DNA and we were able to personalize recommendations so that they were able to live better, man, so those kinds of things that are happening. Abu Dhabi, as an example, wants to become the hub for longevity in the world, where Saudi Arabia right now is funding an immense amount of research around healthy aging.
Hmm.
So I think we also look outside of where we are internally, and if we are looking at senior living communities, you have places like Peconic Landing and um, the Mather at Tyson's Corner, or organizations that are basically shifting their focus to lifestyle with care as opposed to
Hmm.
care with limited lifestyle.
Wow.
And if you make that change, that changes everything. It changes how
Yeah.
you service the consumer or the resident. It changes the products that are being delivered. It changes the products that you purchase. It changes your programs. It changes your environments. Uh, Everything changes. And you're beginning to see places like Dubai or places like Copenhagen, where they are focused on the 15-minute city or the 5-minute city to make sure that things are accessible for everyone so that it doesn't matter how old you are, you don't have to go very far to access things. You have
Hmm.
places like in Germany where they have a dementia city. I forget the name of it, but the goal is to make the city very accessible for people with memory loss and
Hmm.
easy to find them if they are
Hmm.
lost, where
Wow.
things like benches are numbered all throughout the city, so if somebody finds someone wandering, they can just simply say, bench number 22.
Yeah.
uh you have stores that have quiet time on a Saturday so people who have dementia can come in and shop. They turn off the escalators. So
Hmm.
all of these things are
Wow.
happening all around us. They turn off the music. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Uh, and it's also a great opportunity to be a student of aging and learn about all these things and then figure out how to implement those in your own community.
Yeah, that is marvelous perspective. I'm learning from you even more than I had imagined I would. And your worldwide travels are certainly something that should resonate with those individuals that are listening to our episode here today about DNA, about community, about accessibility, about bringing stimuli down for individuals that are not prepared and resourced to handle stimuli. Wonderful insights there. Colin, I'm going to set us up with just a little bit of a dichotomy here, and I'm going to set up a straw man for a moment. And I want you to help to juxtapose against my straw man. Here's how it goes. So, a few weeks ago, I was on Barbara Hannah Grufferman's podcast, Age Better. She posed to me a question that I wasn't expecting at the end of the interview. And she said, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, what's the worst thing that someone can do for brain health? And obviously, outside of substances you could imbibe and not sleeping is just about number one. It will kill you faster than anything else. I told her routine. And I said, if you do the same thing, and here's the straw man that I'm setting up, is let's say the senior living community from 28 years ago, again, I'm hyperbolizing to say this, was filled with you don't make decisions about what you're going to have to eat, where you're going to eat, who you're going to sit with. You're going to the same spot, you take the same pathway to get there. You're not managing your own finances, you're not driving, you're not in control of your recreational time. It's as a function of what is and isn't offered there. Your lighting is always perfect. Your flooring is always the same. There's no surprises. Everything's a routine, and everything actually causes the brain to coalesce into a cortical atrophy where there is all of the things that we blame on aging are going to happen in an accelerated fashion because there's no stimulus anymore for the brain. So if I set that up as 28 years ago senior living community, and I have you juxtapose today's senior living communities, the best ones as you've named a couple and as your experiences bring to you, tell us the tangibles. What are communities doing now that are different from my straw man?
Two words:
Okay.
autonomous living.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
So, healthy aging, in research from AgeWave and Edward Jones, their definition of healthy aging, or their respondents' definition of healthy aging, 91% of the respondents was being able to do the things you want to do, when you want to do them, and with who you want to do them. Autonomous living.
Okay.
And today, instead of restriction, it is flexibility and enablement. It is enabling you to live the life that you would like to live. It is literally creating a seamless transition from living in your own home, moving
Mhm.
into a community that everything is continuous. It's the continuity of it. You don't
Mhm.
want to move into a community and lose your autonomy. You want to be able to keep doing all the things that you did. All you've done is just changed your address. And I think the community of the past, autonomy wasn't respected to the degree that it was needed to be respected.
Mhm.
And, people, that's why part of the reason why it has a bad rap is that people felt that if they moved in, they would lose their autonomy. It was a path to the end as opposed to being reborn. For many individuals like my mom, when she moved into the community, she brought with her zero friends and made many once she had moved in. So
Mhm.
her life and quality of life completely changed. But it was because she was able to be autonomous in her thinking and in
Mhm.
the application of all the things that she wanted to do.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful right there because autonomy gives us a couple of things, and I've even had the opportunity on ICAA platforms to talk about when we don't have autonomy, we are more inclined toward fear. I mean, 2 years ago, we actually wrote a feature article on fear in your publication, and that's one of the things that happens is if I have no control, I have reason to fear all of the things that could be actioned upon me or that I could be limited toward. So, autonomous living, as I hear you describe it, that seamless ability to carry all of the things that I would like to from my own aging in place into this space gives me less fear, gives me filled with more hope, more familiarity, more of the possibilities of how I want to continue because this life has enrichment. It has the things that I want in it. So therefore, my mental health span continues to stay high as well. That's beautiful. Any commentary or clarifications on how I brought that back around?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. And I think also, if you think about it, our identities continue to flow throughout our life. And the description that you alluded to at the very start, I think, restricts that growth.
Mm, mm,
This embraces that growth.
mm.
So I may move into a community as one person and I may completely evolve. The other
Yeah,
is because it is so restricted. I may move
yeah,
in as a community as one person and I don't have the ability to morph into someone else. So
right.
there are communities like that that still exist, and you as the buyer need to be aware and do your due diligence to choose which community you want to spend potentially the rest of your life in.
Yeah, yeah, that's exceptional. All right, so what you've done for us is you've given us some consolidated actionables, things that the best communities can do, and maybe bring the best out of you, whatever you want to evolve into as part of that. Come in as a recluse, stay as a recluse if you want. However, we've got these craft programs, these group exercise programs. We can invite you into this space and you can transform if you want. So you've given us the opportunity to see what communities writ large, Singapore, Abu Dhabi, and etc. have done. You've given us the opportunity to see what communities written as senior living communities have done. If we were to wrap up and you were to give us a few things just based on your experience, the people you rub elbows with, what you've seen transform your own life experiences, including your family's own life experiences, you've got some longevity in there, I know as well. What do you think that an individual listener to this episode, as a person who wants to age better, what are some things that you'd like to drop into their mind to think about?
Be a kid.
Be a kid.
Think about it. As a child, you are always thinking creatively, whether it's to, get out of doing parents want you to do, or whether it is creating things that you were passionate about. As a kid, you had the door shut and were told to go to school and come back when it's dark. You engaged with your friends. You had recreation. You did fitness. You could also get in trouble if you wanted to. There are all these things that, as a young person, we experience it that we begin to lose as we get older. I think about the description of the community that you mentioned, the straw man
Mhm.
or straw person, I should say.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sorry
Well,
about that. Yes, that we you can't go with the Tin Man either. So,
yeah,
but think about that and think about how boring that would be.
yeah.
And think about how your cognitive abilities would be diminished because you are repeating step and repeat, step and repeat. And after a
Mhm.
while, you forget which day it is because it's the same thing.
That's
After a
right.
while, you forget where you went because it's the same thing. So I think I would say be a kid, explore, learn, create with exuberance as opposed to letting life bring you down over the years and weigh you down. Toss that off your shoulder and just think like a young person does.
Wow, that's a fabulous, three-word recommendation there. Be a kid. And if we can enjoy that spirit as we continue at whatever age this finds a listener, be a kid invites spontaneity, interhemispheric connectivity, creativity, as you mentioned. Again, even a degree of disagreeability because you're questioning things, as you mentioned, potentially get into trouble. But if you're not learning anything new, if you're not creating thing in your own mind, as I mentioned in the straw person example, and as you drew out of that, cortical atrophy is the result, and how boring that is, and how likely that you might be toward actioning some of the ApoE4 alleles that you would have for genetic tendencies of dementia. If you want to accelerate them, then go live a routine life with absolutely no decision making, because you're right. You'll forget how to orienteer. You'll forget how to manage finances because you're never tasking yourself to do that. So, Colin, we'll wrap up here. We know that you have the ICAA event annually, but that's not all that you guys have going on. So, talk to me just a little bit more there as we wrap up here. What else does your company have going on that puts its fingers into worldwide pathways to longevity writ large?
Oh, geez, there's so much. We do
Yeah.
everything from industry research to reporting and translating research. We have publications, podcasts, webinars. We do, of course, conferences, think tanks, courses. We provide educational tools and also management tools, whether it is auditing or benchmarking wellness within communities. We have, as an example, coming up in November of 2026, a consultation on behalf of the World Health Organization with a group of individuals. There is so much that we do. And part of the reason we do so much is because everybody has different interests. And that is the one thing about getting older, is that our interests get more diverse, and it's absolutely not about age. It's about function, it's about capability, and it's about passions.
Yeah, yeah, that's excellent. I cannot thank you enough for the passion and the energy that you brought to today's episode, but also everything you're doing over the past 25 years and into the future to help to shed light, to elucidate spreadsheets, to encourage communication, to cause individuals to think differently, act differently, come together and discuss these matters, and to elevate the voices of individuals that are implementing science in these ways. So, Colin Milner, please give my best today to my friend Julie Milner as well. This episode is going to help people across the world to age in the manner that they choose with autonomy better. You've informed us all. Thank you, my friend.
Well, thank you, Mike, and I look forward to our next conversation.
I do as well. Take care.